Okay, so this one is number 8, 7.1, and it is a factor by grouping problem. Just get this written out. So we're asked to factor this, and the key thing here is it has 4 terms. And anytime we run into a 4-term problem, other than if it's like a GCF, greatest common factor, like we saw at the beginning of the section, every 4-term problem is going to be grouping. And so with grouping, what we do is we look at these first 2 terms and these second 2 terms, and we try to get them into some sort of form where there's a common factor in each of these 2 terms that we can factor out front. So let me show you what that looks like. Looking at these first 2, is there anything common between ax and 2a? Yeah, the a is common to both of those terms. So I'm going to come down here and take that out, and then that's going to leave me this x plus 2. Here, everything's positive, so I'm going to bring down the sign. We are going to get x plus 2 again. It's going to happen, and I'll say a little bit more on that in a second. Looking at these 2 terms, we're going to, 7x and 14, what's in common? 7. So I pull out a 7, and like I was saying, here is that x plus 2. This method, this right here has to happen. That's the whole point of what we're doing. This is going to be our GCF that we're going to take out front. The same way if I had AB plus 7B, and I had that B in both places, notice how that's the exact same shape as this. I can take the B out front and it leaves an A plus 7. Down here, I can take the X plus 2 out front, and it still leaves the A, because I would go X plus 2 times A, there's that, plus 7. So we could, oops, that should look more like parentheses. You can FOIL this back, but you can also think of it as x plus 2 times that a right there, x plus 2 times that 7 right there. So this is still just factoring out a greatest common factor. It's just now the greatest common factor is a binomial instead of a monomial, like in the first several problems. I'm going to, let's see, let me pop over here really quick, and I'm going to grab one more problem because I want to do one of these where the signs does something more interesting. Let's see. Here we go. So this one is, let's see, let me clear all that. This is a version of the last one on the homework. Okay, so for here, again, we're going to look at the 2 terms as it's written, because these aren't going to be sneaky and mix them up in any way. What is common between x cubed and 5x squared? So x squared is the most I can take out of both of those. This has 3x's, this has 2x's. So I can take an x squared out, and then that right here will leave me an x, because x squared times x gets me x cubed, and then plus 5. So here's what I was saying on that last problem. This x plus 5, I'm going to get one of those. Like, it has to work. It's a factor by grouping problem. We're only in Math 98. It's not going to do anything sneaky. It's going to factor by grouping. So once you see this first one, you know you need that second one. And what that will help you do is not mess up the signs down here. What do I got to multiply that x by to get back to negative 5x? Well, a negative 5. And where people have all the trouble is with the sign and then getting the signs right when they're factoring it out. Here they think, okay, if I factor out a negative 5, they get the negative 5 out front, but then they end up with an x minus 5 right here, which is incorrect, because this should be negative 5 times positive 5 makes negative 25. So that sign has to flip. But the important thing I'm trying to say here is once you get this first binomial, the second one has to match. And so if you know where you're going, you're way more likely to get there than if you just try to factor that negative 5 out and then figure out what to do with this 25 down here. And like I said, so often people will write down minus 5, then these don't match, and this is wrong. And if you multiply it back, it doesn't even come out to what it should. So realize that you know the answer, you know where you're going, and then make sure you get to the right spot. And then to finish out this one, I just realized I haven't actually finished the problem because I'm talking too much. Here's our x plus 5 out front, and then x squared minus 5 is what's left behind. And that is pretty much every factor by grouping problem. So if it's 4 terms, that's how those go.